What the heck is going on here? Why do I not have a screen? Hello, guys. I don't know what's going on. My camera is not working clearly. Okay, what's going on with my camera? It's not letting me use my camera. I don't know why. Can you guys hear me? Sorry. Oops. I didn't want you guys seeing my room, but there we go. I don't know what's going on with my phone. My phone's not working. My phone's not working. There we go. I don't know what the hell's going on this morning. Anyways, I don't even care. Good morning, guys. It's freaking 6 o'clock in the morning. You guys just saw my pajamas and stuff, my other pajamas from yesterday on my bed. Oh well, it is what it is. So I got this morning. I got up and I found out. Well, I found out last night. I went to bed fairly early, and then I found out that some of the people out there, some civil rights were violated by Sheriff Chris Nanos, and I know it has probably something to do with us pushing back and them wanting to flex their muscle because that's what corrupt cops do. Chris Nanos, in my opinion, is a fucking criminal. Okay, he has no business being with a badge or a gun. He should be in jail. He should have been in jail a long time ago. And, shame on the federal government because they had him dead to rights and they failed to even prosecute this piece of shit. But at the end of the day, um, he's now, to me, this is a conspiracy. It's a very simple conspiracy that we've got with the law enforcement body out there. So I just decided to do some research to make sure we're all on the same vein because I understand. I went to school for law. Okay, this asshole here beat people. Okay, that's what his job was back 40 years ago. He liked beating up people. Okay, so this piece of garbage right here doesn't know the law, and for the people that went to school for the law, and this is what's frustrating me. How are you going to say that you're going to follow the Constitution, put a badge and a gun on you, and then not even know what that Constitution says? That's the biggest problem that I see more than anything is ignorance, right? We've had this problem. That's why this lady right here is dead because of this man, is because of ignorance and incompetence and people not knowing what they're doing. So Pima County Sheriff looks more like shit than they ever did. And let me tell you guys, you don't get to follow orders that are unlawful. So any sheriff that violates people's constitutional and civil rights, every person that got arrested by that individual, sheriff, you're on notice because you're going to be sued, and you can be sued. And there's no protection to protect you from being sued when you violate the law. It doesn't matter whether you're wearing your uniform or not. If you're intentionally and willfully violating the law, you are now civilly liable. So, going through this and going through, because they're basically telling these people that they have no civil rights or constitutional rights because of some stupid local ordinance. So a local ordinance does not trump our First Amendment or civil right protection. But the county can enforce valid, content neutral, time, place, manner rules that are narrowly tailored and leave open other channels for speech. That was not provided. They've never met those criteria. They have established that as a temporary basis, but it's well past temporary and appears almost permanent at this point. The media was out there, and this was designed to push the media out, specifically to push the media out. And again, when you do stuff like that to push the media out, that's what creates the constitutional problem, because the media had a right to be there and deserved to be there. And this is not content neutral, right? Because you gave them no other place to establish or set up in that community to run their reporting. So again, you've given them no way out. You've made no accommodations. So in public newsworthy cases, recording live schemes are protected and can be protected activities, but the protection is not absolute. If officials can show interference, trespass, obstruction, or lawful closure orders, and they can't prove that. They were on the side of the road, minding their own business, being attacked by neighbors in that community, being harassed by neighbors in that community. We are all watching it on live stream, and all those live streams showing the harassment from the neighbors and the harassment from the law enforcement, and how white people can pull up and get out of their car. But when you have a black person step into the road, they get arrested. So, I mean, we do have some major problems here. The First Amendment protects gathering and disseminating information. The courts have repeatedly recognized a right to record police in public, with some courts also recognizing live stream as protected speech. That said, the government may impose reasonable restrictions in public forums, especially when the rules are about safety, traffic, and access, preventing disruption rather than messaging itself. Now, we know that these people are out there on the side of the road. They're not blocking traffic, so there's no safety, traffic or access issues. So what do they really have to say? Just this ordinance. That's what they're leaning, because they don't believe that these people have First Amendment protection. First of all, you don't need to be a journalist to have these protections. These are afforded to you under the Constitution for everyone. You don't have to say, I'm a journalist. You don't have to say, as a matter of fact, you're more powerful being a law abiding citizen than you are putting any hat on your head. And at the end of the day, the live streamers, they have a right to be there. They have a right to record in public spaces. They do not have a right. Auditors do that, right? Auditors go into communities and start recording for people to sit there because it's First Amendment. So we have auditors all over this country that go and record people in very uncomfortable places because they have a right to do it, and they like to push back on societal norms, saying your emotions trump our civil rights and our constitutional rights. They do not, and neither does this inappropriate and unlawful ordinance that I don't even believe is an ordinance. I believe it's a rule. It's a statute that gave him the ability to block off traffic for certain purposes, and he did not use it for those certain purposes. He actually used it to drive out media, and that is a clear violation of the First Amendment. So the First Amendment protects gathering and disseminating information. So they were gathering and they were disseminating information. And the courts have repeatedly recognized a right to record police in public spaces, and they have a right to record other things. That house is empty. That house is a crime scene. That house is still newsworthy. They had over 3,500 people in their live chat. That shows that they meet the element of newsworthiness. So I really am curious, but here's the kicker. The guys out there, they need to hire private attorneys outside of Pima County. Pima County's toxic. Okay. We're dealing with Sumner County 2.0. You're not going to get the results you are if you're going to hire corrupted attorneys in that area. Remember, they have to play in that sandbox. So they're not going to sit there and rock the boat when they can be shut down. You need an attorney outside of that area to come in, because they don't give a shit about these attorneys. They don't give a shit about these sheriffs. They don't give a shit about these judges. They only care about the law, and they don't care about being pushed around by backwoods people. So you need to get somebody outside of the area, probably somebody in Phoenix. So you folks need to start, helping them get some monies. They're both going to need about $15,000 to get themselves an attorney, and they need to have an attorney commute in. And that attorney, we have criminal attorney, and then you have a civil attorney. I would also be talking to a civil attorney in Phoenix. I don't trust Pima County. And when I don't trust the government in Pima County, I know that the attorneys work in that government. They have to go before those judges. They have to deal with those sheriffs. And I can tell you, they are going to lay down. They're not going to fight for you, because they have to swim in the sea of corruption themselves. So I'm telling you, if you want to get some vindication for yourself and you want to sue them for civil rights violations, you need to go outside of Pima County. You need to go to most likely Phoenix. For me, I hired a guy from across the state. That's how much I did not trust Sumner County. Okay, I went through all of this myself, violation of rights. And here's the kicker. They unlawfully pushed this through preliminary hearings in an effort to try to get me not to sue them for the civil rights. Because if you can go through that preliminary hearing, then typically they're off the hook. The problem with me is they went and sent it to the grand jury, and the grand jury would not indict because it was a bullshit case. So I'm sick and tired of governments and sheriffs thinking they have the right to do this. They do not. Just because they don't like it doesn't give them a right to and see what they're wanting to do is they're like, oh, we're just arrest them. They'll have to legally challenge. If I was somebody out there, I'd be out there walking up and down those roads with picket signs. I would be getting picket signs and going up and down Catalina foothills, walking up and down there with my damn phone with my freaking picket sign and beg them to come fucking put a goddamn hand on me again. That's what I would do. I would start protesting. Excuse my language. I shouldn't have said the GD word. That was really bad. Sonny's not here, hopefully. Sonny might have slapped me. We won't tell him. Excuse me. I should never have said the GD word. That's a bad word. That's a bad word. Like, I'd rather say the F word than the GD word. Okay, anyways. A 42 USC section 1983 claim usually turns on whether officers deprive someone clearly of established constitutional rights under the collar of state law, not simply whether the speaker was covering a public interest. So legal questions are usually, was the person on public property? Yes. Was there a lawful closure or order? No. Did they actually interfere with police operations? No. And was the arrest based on conduct rather than viewpoint? No. No, they're not going to be able to establish this. A viral case and high viewer count shows public interest, but newsworthy itself is not fully constitutional test. The stronger legal protection comes from the location, the conduct, and whether the restriction is content neutral and narrowly applied, not from how many people are watching the live stream. I still disagree with that part, but it does show that there's still an interest in this case. And I think it's important because part of that is it a newsworthy case? Are people still tuning in? And the answer is yes. Now, street closures and signs, it says Pima County doesn't post road closure updates. Pima County does post road closure updates and says roads may be closed by the sheriff's department for weather, safety, and other operational reasons. If the closure has been lawfully issued, which our contention is it was not lawfully issued, the county can enforce it. If the closure is being used as a blanket way to suppress recording or speech, that raises stronger First Amendment issues, and it is being closed just to suppress recording and speech. So that's where they're going to have a problem in Pima County, because we can prove that the only reason why they set up these road closures is to get the media out. They can't do that. That's a First Amendment problem for them. And then they go and arrest people. Now you're depriving people of their civil rights. So I think they have a really good case here. And I definitely think that they need to seek counsel, not just criminal counsel, but civil counsel. I don't trust the criminal process inside these states. I've learned from Sumner County, get somebody outside of that county. You'll be much happier. I went to Nashville for my criminal, and I went to the other side of the state to a person that was once a judge, right? He was an elected judge. He is from across the state. I pay him to come over. It works out well, and he doesn't give a crap about Sumner County. He does care. He respects the judges, but he doesn't care about the corruption, nor is the corruption going to control what he does. So when you have people that live in that county, in Pima County, they're forced to adhere to the corruption. And so we need attorneys that are outside of that corrupted practice that says, you're wrong, and we're going to fight because you're wrong. So you need to get somebody outside of that area. Do not, in my opinion, get a public defender from that area. I'm not saying public defenders are not good, but this type of stuff, this First Amendment, this stuff that can cost these counties, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in civil suits. You can't trust the local attorneys in that area. Okay. You just can't. So, the best legal framing is this: the streamers were in public space, not blocking access, not trespassing, and not violating a valid closure or direct public order. Then arresting them raises serious First Amendment and 1983 issues. If there was lawful closure, private property issue, or actual obstruction, the county gets a much stronger. But we've all seen them. They're sitting in chairs recording the House talking about the case. The only time that they even say any boo to anybody is when somebody is disrespectful to them, or somebody comes up and talks to them about the case, or some other matter, and then they're fine. I heard Alex speaking to Sue Ellen. Sue Ellen's a freaking crackpot that's got mental problems, and he's talking to her like, don't you think that's a little ridiculous? Don't you think that's a little extreme? Just very monotone and just being a normal person talking to. He's not raising the voices. He's not getting in her face. I mean, if she did that to me, I would be like 2 feet from her telling her what a piece of shit I think she is. If I was out there, and I would beg her to step out of her car and try to move me, right? I would invite her. I shouldn't beg her. I would invite her to please move me, right? And I would like to educate her on the law. Just because somebody wears a badge doesn't mean they act properly. We all know that. We see corruption all over this country. And we, the people, now that we have social media and stuff, we're out here, we're advocating, we're bringing awareness to the corruption. We know that the state of Tennessee has corruption all over the place. Now we're coming here in Pima County. This is right here is Sumner County 2.0. I said that at the beginning of this case, that this was going to be what it is, because people like Chris Nanos, people like Sheriff Snuggle Struggles, Eric Craddock, they can't handle law-abiding citizens that push against their unlawful orders. They think because they wear the badge that anything they say that we have to listen to. No, it has to be lawful. You have to provide lawful instructions. You cannot put signs up to run the media out. It's a constitutional nightmare. And this asshole has cost this county so much taxpayer money. And now he's going to probably most likely have at least 3 civil suits on top of that. One where 2 people went to jail for those violations of their rights. Jail. And they're already being smeared by all their local media across the internet, because local media is as corrupted as their sheriff. Local media looks at us, the ones that are taking that, they go in there and they see 3,000 and 4,000 people in somebody's chat for hours, and they're jealous. And so they want you out of their business. So they're almost like mafia. That's the local media. So when local media comes out and they have nothing to say for the same protections, this can switch. Because let me tell you something, local media out there. You're going to be over here on social media. And all you assholes, we've got lists. I don't know if you know about web sleuths, if you know about true crimers, if you know about YouTubers at all. We keep spreadsheets. We have all your names on spreadsheets. When you get on this side, when your businesses start closing down, because let's face it, TV and cable's pretty much extinct, you're going to start losing your jobs. I know this because my sister's in the biz. You're going to start losing your job, and you're going to have to start coming over on social media and being one of those independent journalists that we all are. And when you get over here, we clap right back. You will never work in journalism again. If you do, we're going to tank your channel, because it's only a matter of 10 years before every single one of you asshats that attack us day in and day out are going to have to be on these same platforms, swimming in the sea with us when we've been here for years. You're barely even scratching the surface of viewership, and then you're going to step on the same place that you're going to end up having to go. You better think very highly about your conduct out there in mainstream media, because you know damn well you guys are losing your jobs left and right. Where the hell do you think you're going to go? Do you think you're going to go to a publication? Publications are more dead than news. Okay? 90% of people get their news off social media. It's much easier to play friendly with us than to be dicks to us. Because I can tell you, social media is pretty powerful. And people didn't want to hear it. I mean, I watch like Rookie and all these little things, and they do like cop shows, and they always have, especially the new shows this day, always have these content creators, and they put out to the world that we're just some dumb, brainless people that do stupid shit for clicks and views. And while there is a lot of brainless people that do stupid shit just to get a click and a view, the majority of people on these platforms take their jobs very seriously. And we don't like corruption. We don't like people's rights being violated. And we step back. I actually was looking for airfare last night. Did I show airfare? And so I did actually find some airfare fairly reasonable. I think $571 out there is fairly reasonable. I was able, and I'd be leaving on a Delta flight and leaving from Sarasota to Tucson. And I am, I have been. It's hard because I just went through an unexpected expense. There we got the 4th of July that I've already paid for since March and still paying off. So I'm praying over this to find out whether I really want to go or not. Because if I go out there, we all know we're bringing the shit show, and we're bringing the picket signs. We're going to flex our fucking muscle when we get there. And if I go to jail, I go to jail. But I have no problem going to jail when I know I'm in the right. Clearly I've been researching their laws out there to find out what's proper and what's improper. And that's why I'm absolutely convinced that the sheriff's a criminal. The sheriff is locking up law-abiding citizens, law-abiding journalists, and they do not have a path forward under this. Now, the only path forward they would have is if they have a corrupted DA's office and a corrupted court. I guess we'll find out, because that's what I had in Sumner County. There was a corrupted DA and a corrupted court. So that were trying to cover their ass. The corrupted court tried to push me through a preliminary hearing and say that sometimes that hashtags weren't freedom of speech, and even the jury, the grand jury, wasn't buying that bullshit. As we know, hashtag Me Too is absolutely freedom of speech. So they did not come back with a true bill. This is going to be a little more. Mine was pretty straightforward. Okay. This is going to be a little more involved, because you got to show different elements in this case, because one, they were on public property. They were in a community, and they were recording, a crime scene. So, a prior crime scene. So, no matter how I look at this, were they doing anything unlawful? And I just don't see them doing anything unlawful, except not following unlawful ordinances and restrictions that were, again, unlawful. They were designed only to push the media out and get them gone. That was it. I guarantee any internal notes behind the scenes are going to say that and going to support that. That's all they wanted. Even Brian Enton said they're starting to tell us we can't park on the roads. Remember, it went from parking. They kept moving the goalpost. It was only no cars could be there. Remember? That was the original order. No cars. So they didn't do no cars. So they followed the rules. They haven't brought cars there. And that still isn't good enough. That was the original ordinance. No parking on the road. Now it's no sitting, no walking, no standing, no talking to somebody on the road. Like, this is going way. You guys see where I'm going with this? This is going way, way, way beyond any authority that sheriff has on this alleged ordinance, because it was a no parking ordinance. There was no cars around. How are they planning on enforcing them talking about a case on public property? It doesn't make sense. Someone needs to take him out of service. No clue when his recall. Well, you know what? The only way everybody I'm in Florida. There's nothing I can do. I can't vote him out. I can't sign a petition. All I can do is tell everybody what's going on. That's to the extent that I'm able to do, that I'm able to help you guys, right? I have no ability, none, to help you guys vote, to help you guys recall. We can only promote and expose. I have activism. That means I bring out my Bullhorn picket signs. I know the laws when it comes to protesting. I know what I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed, because I'm a professional protester. And that keeps me gravy with when I know that laws, when a sheriff is violating my laws, I can literally start spitting out statutes that they're violating at the moments that they are putting handcuffs on me or harassing me. And I don't have a problem going out and filing complaints. For example, Like these guys sitting there, when that sheriff came up and started, I would have been driving right down to Pima County Sheriff and the district attorney and filing a complaint against that sheriff's department and that specific officer for harassment. Then every single day, I would be doing the same thing and making sure that there's paper trails for that. But you don't have to worry, even if you didn't do that, because you guys had cameras on. And there's nothing better than visual cameras being able to show what you guys were doing. You guys were sitting there watching the house, which is a crime scene, on public roadway, and you were having conversations about the case live. I don't see where that is a violation of law or an arrestable offense. So the criminal sheriff that should be in jail is now arresting and jailing people that don't like him. That sounds so fucking American. I just keep wondering, no offense, but I know I got Democrat family in here, and I just, I wonder, like, are you guys really happy with this going on? With these people, it's always, I mean, look at California. Look at Spencer Pratt. We all know that man worked his ass off. They fluffed the votes. Come on, it took them weeks to get them. Come on, folks. When is enough? When are you guys going to reclaim your party back? Because I could really use some normal, clear-minded Democrats to be advocating with, bipartisan work over here. I'm just saying, we need something. We can't keep having this corruption. And trust me, I understand it's on both sides of the aisle. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying what's pretty obvious right now. You guys cannot be happy with this. What do we do? Can we all come together and unify for the sake of getting this animal out of office? Is there any way for us to do that, folks? Someone needs to take. Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, I'm still sorry. I should have kept going. Oh, I'm way behind. Did he do an interview saying he was going to start arresting them, saying they were the nuisance? They can classify media as nuisance all day long. It doesn't make it so. If they have a right to be there, like even those protective or those lies that Chris and Katie put on those protective order, trying to get me a protective, it doesn't matter. I had a right to be there. I had a constitutional right to be there. I was recording for activism and newsworthy purposes. They had no standing. And they have no standing. So they can call them whatever they want to call them. They called me a stalker. I'm not a stalker. I'm an independent journalist and an activist. So I had a constitutional right to be there, just like they do. Funny how he wants to start doing interviews now. Because he's a piece of shit. Because like I said, what did I tell you? When we found out the supervisors passed it off for perjury, we know it was going to the corrupted DA. They weren't going to do anything. Now this asshole feels emboldened because nobody's kicking him out of office and he's not going to be sued by his best friend in the fucking DA. If you guys want change out there, fire every blessed person. I got no qualms. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm just saying whoever is employed right now by Pima County, you guys need to move them along and get new blood. Whatever is there now is so far corrupted that they cover their own asses. You're never going to get anything accomplished in this community with the DA, the supervisors, or the sheriff. So until you are ready to vote the supervisors out, vote the DA out, and then work on getting this piece of garbage recalled, you guys are not going to be able to take a deep breath. They are going to continue to violate your rights or anybody else's rights. You just watched what they were willing to do just for Sue Ellen, right? Because Sue Ellen is making just like Chris and Katie, they were making the biggest fight. So they arrest me because somebody's bitching it. They need to do something. So they end up arresting me unlawfully. Big mistake. They just arrested those folks unlawfully too. I truly do believe that it's going to take, but they don't care. All they want to do is arrest to get you out of there. So you have to legally challenge. They don't care what goes on down the road. That's why it's so important for new people to get out there and start recording. Because if you do not push back on this, they are going to continue to do this. And the more you push back, the more you're standing up for your rights. I would be out there because they want you to legally challenge and be scared to go out there. So you leave. And they can clear out the area like they wanted to from media, and they don't care what happens down the road, because by the time you go to court, and by the time this goes to appeals, and by the time you go through the civil, it's going to be 3 years down the road. This asshole's not even going to be in the office anymore. He doesn't give a shit. All he cared about is moving you out. So if you end up going back and suing them for $2 million for civil rights violations, or $100,000 or $500,000 for civil rights violations, do you think he gives a shit? No, because he didn't care. All he wanted you out was because Sue Ellen was bitching at him. So he doesn't care about the $2 million, 500,000, 200,000 down the road. He just wants you out now. He wants to violate your rights now and you to legally challenge it. But if more people keep going out there and pushing back against this corrupted sheriff and these corrupted practices, then they're going to have to establish all of these criminal cases. They're not going to put their neck out on civil actions. Like, if they're not going to have 10 people that have civil rights actions against them. That's what I'm saying. The state attorney's going to have to say, we're not going to be able to prosecute these people. They're going to have to explain, we're going to do our best. We'll call the judge. We'll make sure the judge knows we need to get him through the preliminary hearing. Don't let people know we had ex parte communications. Hush, hush, right? So I don't trust the sheriff out there. And if I don't trust the sheriff, then we can't trust the DA, because the DA has to work with the sheriff. And if the DA hasn't done anything to relieve the sheriff of his job, knowing he's corrupted, that means the DA's corrupted. That's how I process these things. Yep, he's already been sued many times and he doesn't care. So all he's trying to do is get people from leaving there. If arresting people ain't getting people from leaving there, he's only going to have so many times he can do that. So if people want to put themselves in peril for a bigger fight, I would do that. You have a right to be there on a newsworthy basis. This is a crime scene. You do. I mean, granted, this is a private, not a private community. This is a community. This is a residential community. But again, you look back on like Gabby Petito and the laundry house, and how long media was out there for 6 to 8 weeks. We would have been out there for 4 months if Brian was still on the lam. Media rented people's front yards to stay out there. We didn't rent front yards. We stayed on the easement, and we were there for weeks, and they would not have moved us along, and we would have never moved along had Brian not been found. So, there's no time limit on these things either. There's never been an established time limit. Like, you're only entitled to your First Amendment freedom of speech. You're only entitled to gather between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. You're only none of that relates. Like, we don't have the Constitution that says that. It's not limited by time. So again, it comes down to criteria. The rules and the laws are not for us. It's for the sheriff. That sheriff violated those laws, because outside of them obstructing, outside of them being distractive, them sitting there, and because their neighborhood doesn't like it, that doesn't matter. I don't give a rat's ass if the neighborhood doesn't like anybody out there. It doesn't matter whether they like them. It doesn't matter about their emotion. It matters about squat with them. It matters about the black and white law. Are they entitled to be there? And do they have a constitutional right to be there? And the answer is yes. Were they on public roadway? The answer is yes. And if they said, oh, well, they can't be on the easement, but we're not allowing them to sit on the roadway, you have to make accommodations, because the law is very clear. If there is no sidewalk, then you're pushed in the road. They don't want them in the road, so they pushed them in the public easement. Now the residents are saying, well, this is my property. I own this. Yeah, you own it in part. But a public easement is a public easement. That means you have no control over that area. Yeah, you're still required to maintain it. It still goes part of your plat. But once you have that designation of public easement, the public can walk on it. And you can't stop them. And everybody knows that. And so does the sheriff. Well, maybe not, because we know that the sheriff and his deputies are ignorant when it comes to the law that they're supposed to enforce. And they probably have a corrupted county attorney. And I know how they work because I'm involved in my county politics. They're all about the legally challenge, right? We'll just do this. They still have to legally challenge it. So we'll let the courts decide later, right? But this is a clear violation, and you can clearly see what they did is try to impede speech. They tried to move media along. They tried to get media out of an area that they were entitled to be in. They were doing they were doing corrupted practices and tactics to violate people's rights, and they were trying to do it strategically. There's no strategic about it. That is called a conspiracy. So now you have conspired to violate the rights of others. You see how big this can get? I can keep going for fucking days. For fucking days. This county is in trouble. And I hope people listen and go outside of Pima County. If you guys are smart, get yourself an attorney from Phoenix. If you're smart, if you can afford it. You got a lot of support. There was 3,000 people out there. There's a lot of people that love what Juice and Alex are doing. It's time for you guys to dig in your pocket, because they're both going to need about $15,000 apiece to fight this. And then after the 15,000, they need to find themselves a civil attorney to go after the county on a civil matter. You cannot violate people's civil rights. You cannot lock them up unlawfully over a stupid ordinance. An ordinance does not trump First Amendment protections. It just doesn't. And if it does, there is very strict criteria that has to be followed for that to happen. And that did not happen here. And if they're trying to say, well, according to this, you better you better reach out to your state attorney. I think we all need to be blowing up the state attorney's phones today. I don't have the numbers for all of this, but we need to be emailing. Some people have reached out to me for the letter. I did put the letter on my Facebook under Bullhorn Betty. And it's also on 857 Tucson. I posted it there as well. And some other Nancy Guthrie pages. So the form letter is out there. If you reach out to me to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, I will send you the form letter. But we need to be getting the emails out. We need to have the supervisors, the district attorney, the state governor, the all high state profile people, the state governor, the lieutenant governor, all of those people need to be emailed our issues here. And we need to be fighting. Now, as far as the ACLU, everybody's saying call the ACLU. I'm one of those people that always say call the ACLU. But I will tell you this. The ACLU is a racist organization. Whether you want to believe it or not, I don't care if you're affiliated with it or not. I can tell you I have had my civil rights violated. I obviously have an attorney that's, fighting for my civil rights right now. It was a clear-cut civil rights violation. Me and my team, thousands of people reached out to the ACLU to take my case. They didn't even call not one person back. Not one person back. So unless you have like Juice, he might have an opportunity to the ACLU. He's black. Okay? The ACLU is racist against white people. I'm sorry, I do believe that. And you may say that I'm wrong or whatever. Okay, you can say I'm wrong. But it's my opinion because I've dealt with them for many years. I've dealt with the ACLU, and I can't recall one time that they have taken on a case that they should have taken on. They take on more black on white cases than they do anything else. And so you guys can have your opinion about me. I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to tell you my opinion of what I've seen out there. You can call me names. You cannot believe me, whatever. I don't care. I've dealt with them. I've made many calls to them. I can tell you that 90% of the time they don't do shit. So, but they get this name like they're this all. No, they go and take our federal funds and they sit on them and pay all these attorneys all over, and they take selected cases so they look like they're actually doing their job while we're collecting over more than what they're actually putting out. It's a normal, nonprofit organization that takes, the majority of the money for themselves and puts a little bit out there with a little bit of, sauce and viral news here and there. When's the last time we heard about the ACLU? I mean, really heard about them coming out and really helping. We heard about cases years ago. But I want you to ask yourself, when's the last time you heard of a major case where the ACLU was involved? In years. I'll wait. We heard he was arrested. When is the last time? I can't tell you when the last time I've seen an ACLU. When's the last time? Let's see what case. Let's ask. Hold on. Let's find out what cases the ACLU has. What cases the ACLU? Can you tell me what, oops, high profile cases the ACLU has been involved in the last 36 months? I might be wrong. Let's find out. Okay, here, I'm wrong. Let's challenge this. So we've got in the past 36 months, the ACLU has been involved in a number of high profile cases, especially around voting rights, immigration, birthright citizenship, Supreme Court fights, a few of the most prominent examples. So anything against American policies. So examples are Allen versus Milligan, Barbara versus Donald Trump. So they were involved with Barbara versus Donald Trump, League of Women Voter Educations versus Trump, and Louisiana versus Callius. In Allen versus Milligan, major voting rights case over Alabama congressional map, the ACLU says it won a new map for 2024 election, and the litigation remains active through 2026. So they didn't accomplish anything. So Barbara versus Donald Trump, Supreme Court has challenged the Trump administration's effort to undermine birthright citizenship. So this is again, this is a partisan legal practice. They need to be stripped of any more of their stuff. And of course, they want to fight for us to keep all these illegal people in. And I don't think normal Democrats really give a crap because they're taking away from jobs from everybody. When we have illegals coming across the border and the numbers that they've been coming across the border, nobody wants the immigrants here that are here unlawfully. Period. There's a few liberal groups out there that want them here, but for the most part, many Americans on both sides, Democrat and Republican, don't care for them being here. We don't mind immigrants being here. We want them to come lawfully and legally. We all have laws to follow, including the sheriff, right? This criminal sheriff has laws to follow as well, and he's not following the law. So, again, if that just explains who the ACLU truly is, they don't have American interests at heart. So this is not something that, in my opinion, they're going to be willing to come to bat even for juice. They don't like these arguments. They want something that's going to cripple America. So they're just not a good, they got all these good names from them from back in the 80s and 90s when they were in normal civil liberties, uh, union type of thing for people to access when they had no money. They were for the little man. They were always for the little man back years and years ago. And just like Disney, they changed into a pedo ring. And so a lot of things have changed. They've gotten these great names, and then they were taken over by evil people and corporations, and then they turned into evil themselves. So I think we're all witnessing it. I mean, anybody that has the blinders off doesn't mind talking about these things because they see that I'm just trying to be honest and have realistic conversations about stuff we all see going on around the country. But we need real help for corruption, not for these trendy conversations, which I never knew ACLU was going trendy, but apparently they're a trendy boutique now instead of a law firm or lawyers that fight for everybody's civil rights. It's gone way, way, way past that. So the ACLU is basically a shit stain. It's absolutely worthless, right? And I don't think that they're even worth their weight in salt anymore because all of these cases that they are bringing, I don't think they're going to win. In all fairness, I think they're going to be challenged. I think the ACLU has taken a great name and ran it into the ground. Thank you for all of that, guys. I appreciate that. But again, do they have constitutional rights? Do the guys have constitutional rights out there? Do they have a right to be there? Everything that I'm reading here, they do. And I believe that the sheriff and the DA knows that these need to be legal challenged. And I know that they know that this is a weak case. So are they going to drop the charges? I don't think they're going to drop the charges because now the arrest has been made and they can be sued. I think they're going to do exactly what they did to me. They're going to try to push it through the preliminary hearing. They're going to try to push it through the grand jury. And I think they're going to try to force them to plea out. And I'm going to say, don't plea out. Let this go to trial. And if you guys need a change venue, which I don't think you need, I think people out there are reasonable. It seems like everybody in Pima County, except a few people, a few nuts out there, seem to be, fairly like, like they know what they're doing. Like they're smart, they're not dumb. So I think that the citizens out there are, understand that this sheriff is shit. So I think that they have a good case. I really do. I guess the attorneys out there are going to be the ones that ultimately have the deciding factor on it. But I think it's a good case. My only concern is that if people stop going out to Nancy Guthrie's house or give up on the case, the sheriff won. And this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to violate people's rights out of that community. And I think that he should be fired because of that. You should not be able, there should be more consequences to governments violating people's rights than just monetary, because they never pay you for what you're worth. They never pay you for the damages they truly caused you. It's just a corrupted cycle. And I think there needs to be more. If somebody sits there and violates somebody's rights where they have a civil suit against them, they should be fired. Or have the community at least vote whether they should be fired over the incident or not. It would change a lot of people's thought process, and we don't want them being scared of arresting people. But you know what? They're not arresting criminals and arresting law-abiding citizens. It sounds like fucking Sumner County. Okay, like I said, Sumner County 2.0. So I'm giving you guys what I did. I had to learn the hard way. I had to hire an attorney from Sumner County and get railroaded by my own attorney before I realized the whole fucking place was corrupted. And so now I'm smart and I'm like, I ain't doing that again. So I will never, ever, ever hire an attorney in the county that's corrupted. You need to go outside of that county and get a ball buster. And that's what I did. I went outside of the county. I got me a good criminal defense attorney, and I got myself a good civil attorney, and that's what I did. So it took me getting an attorney that railroaded me before I realized the whole blessed place was corrupted. Don't learn like I did. Just go outside of that place. There's no point in even dancing with the devil, right? There's no point in even dancing with the devil. Just go on outside of that area, go to Phoenix, and start interviewing attorneys in Phoenix. I'm trying to save you guys a lot of time and money, but a Nanos weaponized law and should not have that kind of power. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. He did weaponize it. A lot of people have been weaponizing, but you know what? Lately, I'm sorry guys, you don't want to hear this because I know that you're dynamic, but it's the hierarchy of the Democrat Party. I mean, the reason why this man is still in office and the board is because they had political pressure from the Democrat hierarchy of that community and that state. That's exactly why this man is there. Because if he was removed, a Republican was most likely going to replace them. And that's what they dangled over those supervisors. And how do I know that? I'm not going to tell you how I know that. I just know. I'm a political activist. I've been doing this for 11 years. I know what I know. So was he politically pressured? Was the supervisors politically pressured to keep this man, to only send this off as a perjury to the state? Yes, they were pressured to do that. That's why they all, in the last hour, they all turned their backs when they were all gun-ho. Let's get him out. Let's get him out. Let's get him out. Remember that? How gun-ho that's the board of supervisors were about getting this guy out? All of them except one. Isn't it funny that when push came to shove, it was only the Republican that was still pushing to have him out? All of the Democrats stood down. That's because they were pressured from their political party. So let me ask you this. Is that the kind of leadership you guys want? When there's something dire, when a lady loses her life because of the leadership of a sheriff, and your supervisors stand down for political purposes, do you think that's okay? I'm asking you guys. I mean, if you think it's okay, it's okay. I'm not going to judge. I might judge, behind the scenes in my mind, but at the end of the day, don't you think that's wrong? Don't you think there should be some type of consequences to the supervisors for doing that? Don't you think there should be some kind of consequences for the DA that's allowed this to continue to happen? So the only way you're going to do that is to vote these people out. And that's what needs to happen. Because I can come into this community. It's $571 round trip, and that's just for my plane ticket, not including my rental car or my hotel stay. If you guys want to pony that up, we will advocate. I will not disappoint people, but I'm not footing this bill. I don't have it to foot this bill. If people want me out there to push back, I'm happy to go. But we're going to need at least 2 grand. I mean, it's well, not 2 grand. Let's think about this. Well, about 1,200, 1,500 comfortably. I think I could get a room, because if I can get the ticket for 571, I could probably get, that's for like 4 or 5 days. I can probably get a rental for $300 or $400 for 4 or 5 days, maybe a little less. And then a room's going to be, for 4 or 5 days, it's going to be, $100 a night as well. So, yeah, I'll pay for my own food. I just really, I mean, I can afford my own food. It's just the travel expenses that get expensive for me. Um, but don't, I mean, don't send me money for travels. Please don't do that until you guys decide you want me to go out there, and then let's collect it. Because if we fall short, then I'm just collecting people's money and not doing anything with it. And I feel bad when I do that, but there's no way to really for me to return it. I have no refund ability. So, you guys need to decide for yourself whether you guys want me out there, and when you guys want me out there. Because right now, the way I'm looking at it is all the money that you guys have for this thing. You guys need to be giving that stuff to Juice and Alec for attorneys, and even 857 Tucson. Now he got a citation, but and that's a little bit less. These people were arrested, but in my opinion, he needs to get himself an attorney. I wouldn't find somebody local. I'm telling you, one thing I found when I talked to you after I got railroaded by my attorney and I started calling around, an attorney was honest with me. He's like, look, he's like, we have to, we have to swim in the same sea as this judge. And if we take this case, then, the judge is going to punish me. So I was recommended by an honest attorney out there that was going to violate my rights. If he took my case, he basically told me, this is what I'm going to do if I take this case here. My suggestion would be getting an attorney out of the county. That's what an attorney told me. And so that's when I'm like, okay, I need an attorney out of county. So I ended up getting attorneys out of the county. And guess what? Much more successful. Much more successful. And now I'm very pleased with my team. They are protecting my rights. I went through a lot, mentally, emotionally. It took its toll on me. I will be honest with you. I was scared. They can't take that away from me, and they will never be able to pay me for my fear, for everything that they put me through. They'll never be able to come close to a dollar amount for what I went through over that. But I digress. At the end of the day, they need help. And we can push back. I'm happy to push back. I really don't care. I know that when I go out there, I follow the law. If anybody touches me, there's going to be hell to pay, because I will go scorch earth. I will go to every single freaking place and cause nothing but problems. It doesn't even matter at this point. It just doesn't, because I'm not there. I'm not in this mix of things. I'm not in the mix of seat, but I will go out there because it's a First Amendment. It's constitutional protected stuff that's going on out there. This sheriff, I truly believe, is corrupted. I believe he's a criminal. I believe he needs to be in jail. And so I don't like criminal sheriffs arresting law-abiding journalists. And something's got to be done here. I don't know what. But again, I mean, if we need a team out there, again, I will go out there. You guys know me. I go big or go home. I raise my voice. I push back. I do everything lawfully and legally. And, usually people come out and help me. So I'm not really too scared. I know that I've done this all over the country, and I wish this motherfucker would put his hands on me. I double dog this sheriff or his people to put a hand on me. I double dog dare them, because I am a professional. I do know the law. I do know what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not. So you touch me. I swear to God, there will be hell to pay. There will be hell to pay. You worried about one toe on a road. Lay one fucking finger on Bullhorn Betty when she hasn't done anything wrong. I double dog dare you to do that. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You can put your hands on me. That's what the law says. If I do this, you can do that. But if I'm following the law and you're not, boy, howdy, I'll walk. I'll be respectful. But I promise you, there will be hell to pay. And tomorrow, when I get out, I'll be right back. That's about me. I come right back. If you don't believe me, as soon as I was out of Sumner County jail, what did I do? I protested the sheriff. Okay? I protested the sheriff and had about 10 other people with me. And I got loud. And I'll do it again. Don't put your hands on me. Don't put your hands on journalists. We have rights to be there, whether you like it or not. You don't get to push us out. That's corrupted. And it's against the law. So now I think they've established the fact that they were violated. But here's the thing, and this is what Juice and Alex needs to know. There's a conspiracy here because they work together to push the media out. So now you have a conspiracy, and so you got yourself some things. I think that you should speak to an attorney very quickly, not just a criminal attorney, a civil attorney. One that can take this on a contingency fee. I think that this is a clear civil rights violation. So I would definitely be trying to get that enacted and start, if you can, pay an attorney to start putting harassment or injunctions against the sheriff for his violations of law. You can do that. There's a way for an emergency hearing that you can do to force this judge to leave you alone, or force this sheriff in a sheriff's department to leave you alone. So how that will work, I don't know. You're going to have to look that up, whatever. But those are my opinions, folks. Don't forget to hit the like button. Let me see what you guys have in the comments, and then we'll kind of hang up. I wasn't expecting to do this, but you know what? The people of the county are behind this, and I'm sure there might be a few people in that community because the majority of the people in that community are upset with Chris Nanos. I think we saw that at the very beginning. So there's only a few people in this community, but the problem is when people are ignorant about the law, then people's rights can be violated. So had the sheriff told the residents there that they have a right to be there, and that these are the rules, they can't do this, and this. If they were honest with the people there, then a lot of this could have been headed off, and the community would have just kept riding past them and leaving them alone. Because if he would have said they're acting within their rights, and if you start harassing them, well, you're the one that's questionable, not theirs. If they would have started educating the community out there, none of this would have happened. This was created by Chris Nanos and his sheriff. But Chris Nanos and the sheriff's department have created a lot of the problems, including this lady's death. So, in my opinion, if she left that house, if you believe she was alive when she left that house, then you have to believe that his delays are what put her in the grave. So, you've got all of this pain, all of this stuff, and the community is outraged. And so you have these people keeping Nancy Guthrie's case alive. They're out there filming her house. Obviously, if the recordings are on her house, guess what? Nobody can go and screw with her house, right? Nobody can go up there and break into that lady's house when you got a bunch of live streamers and cameras out front. So I don't know. I think that this is overreach. This is government overreach. But we're going to have to see what the courts say. But I believe that this is absolutely civil rights. They had a lawful reason of being there. They weren't harassing anybody. They weren't obstructing anybody. They were looking at a crime scene from a distance, and they were discussing the case. I don't see how that is criminal, especially so much so that you're going to arrest them. And again, those parking ordinance were that no parking. They changed it from no parking to no sitting, to no standing, to no walking. Do you guys understand how they kept moving the goalpost? Where do they have that in the statutes? It was established for no parking. Nobody was parking there. And now people are going to jail for following the law and their ordinance, their no parking ordinance. I find that disgusting. I think Chris Nanos is a criminal. I think we all need to talk to him. I think instead of calling him Sheriff Chris Nanos, we need to call him Criminal Chris Nanos. I think we need to remove the sheriff because he's not really a sheriff. He's a fucking criminal. So let's stop it. Okay. This man beat a person into the ICU. This man has ran his own citizens off the road driving in excess of the speed limit. He's a fucking criminal, a common criminal. And he most likely lost this lady her life. And now he's arresting people that have dissent, that don't like him, that are talking about him, talking about the deplorable job he did, and he wants to shut them up, including throwing them in jail. Now, I don't know where you come from, but where I come from, that shows civil rights violation and First Amendment violations. Chris Nanos is a fucking criminal. Chris Nanos, Bullhorn Betty, says you're a fucking criminal. You should be in jail. You should be in jail, sir. You should be in jail. He might be directly. Who knows what's going on with him? Maybe he sent one of his officers over here so they could have more of an exciting little desert law segment. Yeah, you stretch. Tell him, Delilah. Piece of shit should be in jail. Sorry, I'm not a more professional. I wish we got the corruption out of law enforcement because good law enforcement is a beautiful thing. It's a great thing. Betty, are you going down there? We talked about it I told my audience what I'd need to get down there if they want me to go. This channel is sponsored by my audience, so it's going to cost me about $1,200 down there. We're calculating off the top of my mind. I got a ticket now. That if the ticket's still the same price, I saw a ticket last night from Sarasota to Tucson for $571. And then, of course, I haven't looked into what it's going to cost me to rent a vehicle or what it's going to cost me to, get a hotel. But typically you can get a hotel room for $100 a night or less. It's not the best hotel, but I've never been, I'm not a top tier upper class type of person. One day, maybe we'll be in the Ritz Carlton, but until then, the Red Roof Inn. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. So we can typically get a room anywhere in this country, typically, unless it's in the big city, for about 120 or less, right? So 100, I try to keep it around 100. I'd like to get around $80, $90 a night, but if I can, I really don't go under $80 a night, not because I don't want, just because there's only a few places around this country that I will pay under, but I know the hotels and I know they're clean. Like I know the owners. I mean, I've traveled this country enough. Like I've gotten, because when we had two nickels to rub together, we stayed in some questionable places. I won't lie. We stayed in some questionable places. There was one that I was trying to make it work. It was when we went the first trip we went up it was the first time Olivia and I did a case by ourselves, and it was the Idaho 4. And we get up there and we're doing budgets. Well, I rented this room. I thought it was like Fairview, and I could have sworn it was the one. I thought I booked the one that had all of these great reviews. Well, I apparently grabbed the other one because it was $100 cheaper, and I thought it was the same one because it had like Fairview. They just had different endings of their name. Fairview was in there somewhere, and so, or something like that. I remember it was a name thing. And so I rent this room. We get there and there's stains all over the sheets. There's like hair all over the sheets. There's literally sand on the floor. And that was like, we had no extra money and we're like, we can't stay this. So we ended up going to like the Quality Inn or something, or the La Quinta, and had to pay twice as much for our room. And then they didn't want to give us the refund back. And I'm like, bitch, if you don't give me my refund, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm suing. Like, we're going to have some major problems. She said, well, you don't have to be like that. I said, you got filthy rooms. Well, we've been having some problems. I don't care what your internal problems are. This is fucking dirty. This is not a clean room. How do you rent out a dirty room? And you're okay with it? You're literally giving me freaking excuses right now. Well, let me take you over to another room. Okay, let's go check this other room out. Get there, pull it back. There's a fucking piss stain on the sheet. And Olivia's like, I'm not staying here. I'm not staying here. I'm not staying here. And her and I are literally going through. We're like, okay, we're looking at our budget. We're like, well, we can go to the store. We can get like a plastic wrap for the beds. We can get some sheets. We can get some covers. It's going to cost us an additional $100. And we're like, this is insane. Let's just go to a different hotel. And when they were like, we're not accepting this room. Like, you're sitting here telling me you're not giving me a refund back. We're not accepting this room. If I need to call law enforcement out here right now, we're not accepting this room. You either give me my freaking refund back or we're going to have some major problems. And so after about 20 or 30 minutes, they decided to refund our money, which, takes days to refund back to your card, but at least we knew it was refunded. So mom found it and hasn't seen it. It was awful. We got out at least the next, it was all, yeah. And so that was my experience. I don't know. So, outside of that, I've never had another like near death, experience, death by cockroach experience before in my life. But it was the most disgusting that I've ever seen. And it was ran by like these students, and it's like, you guys got a lot of work to do, lots and lots and lots of work to do. But it was disgusting. It was filthy. So we ended up getting everything back and moving over to the La Quinta. And the next time we stayed at we stayed in Washington. The next time we went at this beautiful hotel that was very affordable and just right over the Idaho-Washington border. And it was just nice. So we ended up staying there, and that was great. But I can tell you, but other than that, I don't know why we got on the tangent. I know it was like, going under about the price of the hotel, but it was just kind of funny because we did stay in some questionable, like, places. Like, it's like, what are we doing? Why are we here? And I remember when we were looking for Layla Santanello, she disappeared from Maricourt Hotel, which Maricourt Hotel, oh my God, those places are disgusting. They are not clean whatsoever. It's just, I don't know how the health department in Kingsport, Tennessee allows that place to run. I really don't. But even Olivia, she's like, we were covering case. She's like, and that was the last place we knew she was. And she's like, I want to stay here for the night. And I'm like, she's like, we can get some tarps, put over the beds, get some blackouts, have the curtains and have our cameras sticking out of the window so we can see what's going on here. And I'm like, yeah, we went up there to ask them for the price of the room. It was like $35 or 50 or something. Like, I can't remember. It was really, really low. And she's like, we can do this. We can do this. And I'm like, we ended up not doing it. We ended up deciding that we deserved life instead of death. So we chose not to, not to do it. But some of the stuff that we were willing to do, if you can contribute, please use Cash App. We need someone to lead this process. Oh, thanks, Outer Banks. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, we just need 1,200. If I pull the trigger, I know we can raise the money. I'm just kind of waffling. I'm not sure because this, I'm waffling a little bit because I want to go out there for Nancy, but this has turned out to be something more than just Nancy. This turned out to be violations of civil rights. It's a corrupted community. I don't know why this surprises me. Every time I get into a corrupted community, something like this happens, right? Because they don't realize they can't do the stuff they're doing. They're so corrupted that they think what they're doing is right. And I don't even think that. They just don't think anybody's going to challenge them. And if they do get challenged, they don't care. Like, it's not their money. It's your money, right? They don't care. It's just 100% waffling. You're not going to go. I know. I'm waffling because, one, it's expensive. Two, because I just came back from a trip, and I don't make a lot of money. That's what people don't understand. I'm here every single day. The majority of my money goes into these cases. It goes into advocacy. It goes into other things. I don't make a whole lot of money, so I have to budget very, very wisely whenever I go out. And when I have an unexpected trip, like Cole's, him not being here anymore and having to go out there and stuff like that, that was an expense on me. It was an unexpected expense. And I've already had to pay. I knew I was going to I was going to be in DC for the July 4th. And again, I don't make a lot of money. So I had to pay for my trip on credit card back in March so I could have it somewhat paid off by July, you know? Um, so that's kind of where I'm at. I don't make I make do with what I've got for us to continue to do what we do. And it's not like we sit home all the time. And we are out and about, not as much as we once were, but I've got a lot of expenses. I mean, I've got my own legal expenses. Trust me, I'm going through exactly what, Juice and Alec are going through right now. I'm going through it in Sumner County. The sheriff arrested me unlawfully, and they tried to cover it up and push me through a preliminary hearing just so I couldn't sue them. And the grand jury's the one that kicked it and failed to come back with a true bill. So no true bill was taken. So my case was dropped, but it wasn't because of the corrupted community. They were trying to violate my rights and cover me up where I couldn't even come after them, where I couldn't even sue them for their violations. They were really they were so corrupted. They were already thinking how to get out of this and how to violate me even more just so they didn't have to pay the piper or deal with their consequences. So I know this all too well. I'm literally going through it right now in Sumner County. That's why Juice got arrested, and it sounds like they went to Alex's house and arrested Alec. And I'm just like, why did they go to Alex's house and arrest him? What warrant do they have for him? And then their corrupted media out there is like, oh, they got these nuisances out of there. No, they got your competition. So even the corruption is even more. It's almost like the mafia, right? So media is now rooting to have their competition thrown in jail for First Amendment. That's how corrupted our media is. And that's how corrupted the media is out there. They're corrupted media. They're corrupted politicians. There's a whole corrupted government being protected by their media, their legacy media out there. When you got legacy media rooting on people's civil rights and First Amendment rights being violated, they are taught their rights in school. My sister went to journalism school. I know exactly what they taught. I went to law school, like paralegal school. I know about ethics. I know about the law. I know how to interpret the law. I know how to research the law. My sister is taught in her journalism class their freedom of press and what violations look like. And their media knows that this is clear violations of First Amendment freedoms. And they are taking a back seat because it's their competition and they don't give a shit. So they're stepping on their own toes, willing to violate their own civil rights and constitutional rights to take their competition out. That's how corrupted the media is out there. We think they're nice, sweet media. No, they're not. We knew that when the media left because the YouTubers took over. They were so jealous that they did not have the type of viewership that the social media content creators were getting. And they hated it. And that's what it is all over this country because they're losing their jobs right and left. When my sister started out in the business, she had a producer and she had a videographer. And it was her. She was the reporter. So they went out and did segments. She had a producer, her cameraman, and her. Now her producer left. So then it was just her cameraman and her. Then her cameraman was fired. Then it was just her. So she had to produce, video, and be the reporting. She had to do all three jobs. And this is just over the last 6 years. So you're telling me in the next 10 years, you don't think you're all going to be out of a job soon? And you're going to sit here and violate social media's rights when you're going to have to come over here and dance on this side of the street soon? And you're already handicapping yourself over jealousy? I don't know what to say. All I can tell you is I'm going to keep being me, and I'm going to keep advocating for the rights of all. Our government is beholden to us. We are not beholden to our government. They had no rights to put their hands on Juice or Alex, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a lawful legal attorney. I went to school. I have a paralegal degree. I know how to interpret laws. I know how to write petitions. I know how to write motions. I know how to write pleadings. I know how to do legal research. I know how to do discovery. I know how to do all those different things. I have a good understanding of the law. Do I know it inside and out? Of course not. That's what they make all this reading material for. That's what they make case law for. So we can type in, something and say we need to find everything that's related to civil rights slash crime case, or within the same paragraph as a criminal case or something, like that. And maybe, I don't know if there's too many laws out there for specifically, we're going to keep getting more. And I can guarantee the freedom of speech is always going to be supreme. There's the Supreme Court will always side with freedom of speech over and above anything else. And you guys know that. Why? Because at a federal level, our freedom of speech, our freedom to gather, and freedom of press are our very First Amendment. It supersedes any other amendment in the Constitution. So if you have to appeal, you have to appeal. But at the end of the day, as long as it's related to freedom of speech and your right to speech and your right to gather and your right for newsworthiness, as long as you keep pushing it up and appeal, once you get it up, they're going to have to concede because, again, First Amendment is a supreme right. It's a supreme right. It's a supreme right. It's a supreme right. And people say, well, they have a right to privacy. Somebody being in a public space does not violate your rights of privacy. It just doesn't. People have a right. If you have your windows open and they're walking down the road and they want to take their camera and point into your living room and photograph you because you have your windows open, they have every right to do that. And it's not a violation of privacy. If you don't want them seeing in, close your blinds, close your curtains. Okay? So we need to understand, everybody likes to use these big words like privacy. We have privacy rights. You're right. They're not violating anybody's privacy sitting on the side of the road. So that argument is gone. It's gone. Well, they're harassing. How are they harassing people by sitting on the side of the road? Unless they're stopping and blocking traffic, throwing stuff at them, cussing at them, screaming at them when they drive by, they're not harassing, nor are they creating a nuisance. Just for them being there and sitting there does not create a crime. Yet they were arrested for it. And I bet you the piece of shit sheriff that did it, which I think we need a public record. Somebody needs to pull public records and find out what's the sheriff's name, the arresting sheriff. We will push back. And there ain't going to be a damn thing law enforcement can do about it because it's done lawfully and legally. We're going to push back. We're going to push back. You're denying the crimes? Tack, what crimes? And if you want to come in here, people are saying that you're also blasting, threatening, singing directed at a person using their name. You can use somebody's lawful legal name. That's not harassment. Harassment, intimidation. When I'm watching the videos, Tack, let me tell you what I see. I see them talking to amongst themselves, and I see somebody pulling up to them, rolling their windows down, and engaging with them inappropriately, being disrespectful and rude to them. Okay? I'm sorry, if you stop your car, roll down your window, and you speak to somebody, when they speak back to you, even a fuck you, that's not harassment because you provoked that conversation. So let's not get it twisted. Yeah, I can keep going because I went through this and watched what they were doing. And I know that Sue Ellen has been out there harassing them. She should be in jail for harassment. As a matter of fact, what I would do if I were them is I would say that I fear for my safety, that every time I'm in this community walking down this road, this lady stops and harasses me. And then you know what I would do? You know what I would do? I would actually, I hope you didn't block them and just delete them. Don't block. There's no need to block them. You can unblock him. There's no need to block him. He's not being rude. He's just being pessimistic, which is fine. We can deal with it. You can unblock him. But as far as people, they can just drive by. Why do they have to stop and engage? If they didn't stop and engage, there would be no what you perceive as intimidation or harassment and threatening, right? Because they're not speaking to those cars. They're not stopping the cars as they're driving down the road, right? That we watched the cars drive up, the lady roll down her window and start harassing and speaking to them, right? She could have just drove right by, right? Then there would have been no conversation at all. So there would have been no harassment or what you perceive as intimidation. So this can go both ways. You can argue this way. I will argue that way because I can tell you what I see. I'm looking at it from a legal lens. I'm not looking at it from an emotional lens. I'm not looking at it from any other lens. I'm looking at it from a constitutional legal lens, and I'm trying to justify how these arrests were conducted and how they were able to be done. Because to me, it seems like a DA would be highly pissed off that they just opened the county up for um, a civil rights action. If I was a state attorney, I would be pissed. Facts are she didn't. It doesn't matter whether she took Nancy or not. They have a right to be there. They have a right to be there. When somebody pulls up to them and rolls down their window, you can't say that people engaging the conversation are harassing or intimidating. That person made the decision to stop, and not just the decision to stop once, but the decision to stop over and 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 over again. There is an instigator out there, and it's Sue Ellen, not the podcasters. I hope they sue the crap out of Pima County. I do too. I do too. People from all over the world will still come by that house and want to see. Yeah. And not only that, I'm news journalist, right? An independent news journalist. So what are they saying? That if I go out there and decide to get my segment in front of that house, that I could be arrested? I bitch, I wish you would. You criminal fucking sheriff. I wish you would. I wish you would put your grubby hands on me for doing a news segment. I wish you would. I wish you would. They didn't park the car. It's her driveway, and she never put the car in park. You're getting semantics. Tack, you're getting semantics. Are you Sue Ellen? I mean, I got a question. Are you Sue Ellen? Because if you're Sue Ellen, you're a crazy bitch. And let me tell you, you constantly being out there harassing, if I was out there on that street, I'd put you in your place. I'd put you in your place lawfully and legally. And not only that, if you had stopped by there every single day, I would have filed a complaint against you, and I would have put a protective order against you because you are there harassing me. So I don't know who Tack is. I don't care who Tack is. You can get on with your badass self, but you are wrong. And I guarantee you don't have an education in the law. And if you're Chris Nanos, a sheriff, or one of the sheriffs out there, you guys need to get a clue, because we don't like corrupt sheriffs. We don't like corrupt officials. We back the blue. We back the blue. Okay, now you can go ahead and take Tack out. Now you can go ahead and block Tack. Have a great day, Tack. Go harass more people. Go harass more people. I can guarantee if that's Sue Ellen, I wish you would, bitch. Because I won't touch you. But I guarantee by the time I'm done with you, you'd never want to speak to me again. I can promise you that. I can promise you that. You can ask a lot of people that piss me off. By the time I'm done with them, they avoid me. They see me, they walk the other way. You don't want to play this game. I play it better. I play it better. I hate all the corruption and truth that is. The majority of the sheriffs have been fighting to get corrupt sheriffs out. And we got to keep fighting. We got to keep fighting. This sheriff is corrupted. And not only that, he's corrupted in so many ways. The power, greed, and control. I mean, he's bad. He's really, really bad. But at the end of the day, I hope Sue Ellen gets sued too. If I was out there, she would have been the first lawsuit before I left. I would have had an injunction against her in a quickness. At the end of the day, I don't play when it comes to my rights. You will not trample on my rights. I will be the most respectful person. I'll be kind to you. I'll talk to you with respect, dignity, and everything. The minute you step on my toes, the minute that changes. The minute you cross the line, the minute that changes. I'm entertaining the possibility of going out there. It's going to be very, very tough for me to go out there because of the one trip we just came back from, the trip I'm about to go on, because I'm leaving July 2nd. So there's like a little small window, and to try to do a trip, a $1,200 trip in between the service and our 250th anniversary, it's tight for me. Okay, I don't make a lot of money. You got to understand that for me, on here, we don't. It's it gets a little tight from time to time on this channel. And so we do the best we can with what we've got. And again, we did have a little more a few months ago. I could have went out there. I chose not to because Jonathan was out there. And I don't regret that choice. I don't regret any of these choices. And I'm hoping that we can help these people without me having to go out there. But if I go out there, I don't want to be out there by myself. We'd need to have a huge team out there, because if we're going to take on the sheriff, and we're going to protest the sheriff, and we're going to bring the shit show has to show up. And if you guys want to know what the shit show is just a lot of people with a lot of signs. It doesn't mean we're destroying things. It doesn't mean that we've never done that. But we brought the shit show to town, to a few places, and it was very, very, very effective. People don't realize what the shit show is until the shit show shows up, and then they're like, "Oh shit, that." So it is what it is. Natalie literally have zombie drug addicts standing everywhere in Tucson. That's not a good comparison. Oh, good gracious. They got a lot of crime and a lot of homelessness, and they're worried about some YouTubers. It blows my mind. It just blows my mind. The asinine bullshit that goes on. Like, these people, well, we just do this, we're gonna show them. Okay. Show them, sheriff. Show them. Okay, show them. Okay, I'm sure. Let's do this. Let's see how corrupt your county truly is. Let's see it. Show them. Good gracious. I don't think Leilani would be in prison if it wasn't for BH, along with the crew, minus the crazy woman on their side. We did have a few nuts out there. I gotta tell you, we were the day crew, but the night crew was wild. They kept trying to blame us for the night crew. It's like, yeah, no, we're a day crew. We go out there during the day. We're there during business hours. We pack up, we leave, we're done. And the night crew, though, the night crew was 100% citizens of that community, and they did not play. And they pushed back on their sheriff. They freaking had sirens. They had noise, music. I mean, one guy had a tow truck. He was driving up and down the road. It was insanity what they were all doing there. It was absolutely insanity. Good morning. Good morning, OG. I hope you're doing well. It's nice to see you. You're not going to do anything. I didn't say I was going to do anything, but when I show up big. So you can take that to the bank, you piece of shit, on a Tuesday. People don't like dealing with me. And it's because I bring the law and I step back, And a lot of people, if you don't believe me, talk to my own politicians here. They don't like me because whenever I come in, I clean house. We go around to a lot of different places. We get plugged in to where we need to be plugged in. I do a lot of social media stuff that they don't know about. They do a lot of talking that behind the scenes that they're not supposed to be doing that we know about. And we just sit here and push. But I tell you what, when I walk in there, I used to have their respect, but now that they're on my bad side, they don't even want to look at me. But when we come in there with the group, with a lot of people, which we do, depending on what it is, we put the hammer down on our politicians. We don't let them get all crazy. And we have no problem firing. We're not living in in a fantasy land. We can see with our own eyes that what our politician just told us is not what they're doing, right? And then we expose that to everybody. Everybody's connected here in Manatee County somehow, some way. So as long as you put it in XYZ, a different account, everybody in the county is going to read it. So I'm you may say I don't do a lot, but I can promise you I do. Politically, I do more than I do in front of the camera. You guys see me in front of the camera doing my true crime stuff. You got to understand, I'm here like doing true crime stuff for maybe 4 or 5 hours out of a 24-hour day. The rest of it's politics. I have a lot of people. I don't know if you know me from political, but I'd suggest you research me because I've got a lot of political capital, not just in the state of Florida, but pretty much around the United States of America. So I know a lot of politicians. I know a lot of higher up politicians. Now they're of the conservative persuasion, but like here in Manatee County, I have very much progressives that I work with, progressive advocates and activists that I work with, depending on what we unite on. So I am absolutely a political activist. I'm a person that's knowledgeable in the law, and I'm a person that does true crime, and I don't like corruption. So when I do show up, I show up in a big way. But thank you, Tex. We appreciate your commentary of this. But either way, it's my choice whether I show up and take on a cause. And this is a cause that I've been entertaining taking on. So you can take that to the bank if you so choose. GME getting ready for court this AM. Well, I hope you have great. I hope you do great at court. If thousands of YouTubers, journalists, and media showed up, what would they do? They wouldn't. They wouldn't be able to do shit. They're picking on these people because there's not enough of them out there. They wouldn't have done it if we had legacy media push back on the parking violation or the parking ordinance, the stupid parking ordinance, or get more clarity on it, or look in the law, or get the attorneys like News Nation should have done. Then we wouldn't be sitting here in this position today. But the problem is our legacy media doesn't fight for our rights anymore, especially if it's not affecting them, right? They only fight for their civil rights or their constitutional rights when it's affecting them. And I'm surprised that nobody takes up these things. Back in the 80s and 90s, our media was more on our side than it was on theirs, but they were bought and paid for. They were paid off. And now they're as corrupted as our politicians, which is what made way for many of us. I mean, social media has done so much for our country. I mean, and for people. Think about it. At a point, they were able. Oh, thank you, Sonia. Hit that like button. Show your support. It's free. Thank you. Absolutely is. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. But think about it. Back in the day, they fought for their right to be out there, right? And since then, media's gotten lazy. They don't even show up anymore. They don't put the cameras in the faces. Remember back in, oh, thank you, sweet Caroline. I appreciate that. Don't send anything for Tucson. We haven't made the decision yet. We haven't made the decision. I don't want to start collecting money on a trip that I have not committed to. When we commit to it, we commit to it. I should never turn down money, but I just don't. I don't like collecting things for something that we're not committed to. But media used to fight for their constitutional rights, and they were very successful in the courts establishing the rights that we now have. Take this on. It is our civil liberties, free speech, car rally, protest throughout the neighborhood, ending at TV station or sheriff's office. Ooh, that does sound like a great idea. That does sound like a great idea. That does actually sound pretty good. A car rally? They can't do anything for moving cars, right? They can't do anything for moving people. I think picket signs and walking up and down, circle. Hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go. Right? But, once upon a time, the media was being treated like we were by sheriffs. And so they had to start suing all of these things. So we're just doing 2.0. So this was all handled years and years and years ago, back in probably the 70s, 80s, and 90s, when law enforcement was stepping on the toes of legacy media, and now they're stepping on the toes of social media. So we're going to have to end up getting good law for. There's already good law established for media, because at the end of the day, First Amendment and freedom of press, you do not have to have. There is no license or credentialing you can get to be press under our current laws. Let me repeat that. There is no licensing or credentialing that you can get to make you a media under the current law. Anybody that has a microphone and an opinion and goes out to and serves a newsworthy purpose is media. That's the way the law is defined in the United States. So when you define it that way, everybody is protected that's out there. And that was done and established by our some of our media already. And I do believe this is a good First Amendment case that I'd like to get involved in. But, it's still a lot of money for people. This is my issue. Usually when I see the community coming together and they need some more encouragement or some more strength, then I will go out there and lead the charge. But if we're struggling to get the support, then me going out there is not going to create the support. The support needs to be there or it's not. So let me think about it. Let me process this. This has all been sprung on me, in the last little bit. I know we've been on the computer now for like an hour and a half, but I just learned about it. I woke up last night, I go to bed very early, and then I woke up last night to use the restroom, and I checked my phone, and of course, one of my mods sent me an email or text message saying that Juice was arrested. So I went on a few Facebook groups and started, putting some stuff there. And it kind of woke me up because I was just now fuming that the sheriff did this, which I just think the sheriff's a piece of shit. And him being a piece of shit just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, how much more? Like I said, you never allow anybody to create a law that allows 5 people in your local community that will allow you to be arrested. And you guys need to change that law in Arizona. Like what? That was the one thing I said when I learned that their board of supervisors all across the state in Arizona, they have a law that allows their supervisors of the counties to establish misdemeanor charges. There is no way in hell I would ever allow a law to be created in Florida that gives commissioners, local people that are uneducated in the law, okay? They're just voted on by the people, a popularity contest, the authority to arrest me with a misdemeanor. That is the biggest foul I've ever heard in Arizona. I would challenge that all the way to the Supreme Court. I don't think that that's lawful. I know it's been going on since God knows when, but for you to allow supervisors to create misdemeanors and start going out and arresting people for misdemeanors like they're doing here. Remember, I warned you guys about this. Did I not? Did I not warn my audience that this would create a major, major problem when you have 5 people called supervisors, some that are doctors, some that are beauticians, some that are just retirees. We don't know what their level of education is. They're able to lock you up over an ordinance with a misdemeanor. I would never in the history of life allow that to be. And that's the law in Arizona. So if you want that to change, you need to change your law. I don't know when that was enacted, but that needs to be revoked. KVOA is as corrupted as the politicians. Remember, their cameraman went and filed a complaint or a protective order and lied on that protective order. I have no faith in the local media out there. And never mind the fact that that's Savannah Guthrie's old news station. And Savannah Guthrie hasn't paid for a private investigator and has removed her mom from her social media, but everybody's supposed to stay silent about that, not call her a piece of shit or anything, right? Because she's rich. She's rich. But it's awfully funny. Her mom just disappears in the middle of the night. She acts really upset, but yet she's worried about ratings on NBC. Then she goes back to NBC, clams up, never talks about her mother again, and removes everything related to her mother off of her social media. I did call it. And this is exactly why you do not let your local government provide ordinances that have criminal penalties on it. This is a mess. It absolutely is, Danielle. But at the end of the day, Juice as well as Alex are going to need some money. They're going to need attorney money. They're going to need about $15,000 a piece, $10,000 to $15,000 a piece, because that's what it's going to take. And I know that there's money in the true crime community because Queen Bee, a piece of shit, pipe smoker, allegedly, and in my opinion, definitely a freaking junkie bitch. She can raise $200,000 to get an attorney when I sue her, right? So I know there's money in the community to help people out. So why don't you guys turn some of that money over to people that really need it instead of some glass pipe smoking biatch, allegedly, in my opinion, right? So do your own research on that, by the way. The information is, could be true, could not be true. I don't know. Just saying. Keep myself legal and all, out of legal hot water with that biatch. But they were able to raise $100,000 because she wouldn't shut her pie hole. She couldn't stop. She couldn't control herself. So these people are doing everything to do right activism and journalistic work, and they're being arrested and harassed by local government and local police. So those people need the money. They need help getting this through. Queen Bee is not weird. She's freaking a joke. That lady, remember, don't forget, she blamed her older daughter for putting handprints around her younger daughter's neck when her older daughter allegedly wasn't even in the house. So we'll let you guys figure out how her younger daughter got handprints around her neck, bruised handprints from asphyxiation around her neck. I don't think Queen Bee is weird. I think she's just a disgusting individual. A disgusting individual that's on a bunch of shit. And I just imagine, as big as that woman is, as nasty as that woman is, she's going to have a heart attack soon. And I'm sorry, you guys can, I'm not going to have any qualms about it. I ain't praying over her. I ain't doing, I hope she goes straight to hell. That's just me. I remember her crazy butt. Can't stand that woman. Neither can I. She acts like yep, there it is. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So I know that when she could raise $100,000, which was a waste of money, at the end of the day, these people need the money. It's not a waste of money. It's not for bullshit. It's for civil rights and First Amendment rights. And I think the true crime community should step up and start getting them some money so they can fight this. They need to have fighting money. But we need to be doing this around the country. We need to push back against our government. Our government wants to arrest us for protected activities. Then we need to start protecting ourselves. And unfortunately, we're all, we're part of the, what is the GoFundMe, what do they call that? Everybody putting in a little bit and it making something big, right? My brain's not working. It's too damn early. So I think people need to do that. If they have a way of getting money to them, they're going to need attorneys. I'd wait to find out what the attorneys are going to cost and then start raising those funds for them to get them through this crowdfunding. Thank you, Amanda. Good gracious. We are crowdfunding. That's what social media should be tattooed on my mouth, right? My tongue. Crowdfunding. That's all we do. That's all social media is crowdfunding of sorts, whether it's crowdfunding information, crowdfunding resources, crowdfunding monetary stuff, crowdfunding. Everything that we do is crowdfunding. So this is for monetary purposes, crowdfunding for monetary purposes, but everybody just gives a little to do a lot, right? And I think that that's what needs to go on for Alec and Juice. I think the reason why they arrested those two and not Tucson is because Alec already looks like a criminal and Juice is black. So I think that they're using those arrests because they don't look very good. So they're hoping that their appearance will help sway the jury. That's what I truly believe. That's how sick this is. And trust me, the reason why I know these little tricks and gimmicks of the game is because, again, this used to be my field of study. I used to work for attorneys. I used to work for a federal judge before he became a federal judge. I should clarify that. Um, so I've worked for a lot of things. I've seen a lot of situations over my time in being a paralegal. Uh, and I've seen some dirty of dirty. And I believe the reason why Damien just got a ticket is because he looks like a upstanding citizen. However, you look at Alec, he's an upstanding citizen, but he has tattoos all over himself. So you got the stereotypes, right? And then you look at Juice. Juice is a black man, very slender. If I'm not mistaken, he's missing a couple teeth. So they're going to use that almost against them. And that may have been one of the reasons why those two were arrested and Tucson was not. So I think that that's appalling. Wouldn't you agree that that's pretty freaking appalling? But that's surely what it looks like, is it not? I won't support the trip because I see it as a legal money pit. I know that's what's keeping me on the sidelines. I will be honest with you. I wouldn't mind it if I didn't already have some sticks in the fire for my own civil rights and corruption in Sumner County. Like, I'm already going through this in one state. I don't want to be going through it in another. We know how much we've already spent. I mean, Jesus, we're not even out of this yet. Take on another legal expense. You're right, Lisa. It's going to be like a freaking money pit. But there are some things worth fighting for. So I really am eyeballing this, as you know, and I really am praying over it, whether or not I should go. I don't know. Praying but I'm trying to justify whether to go or not. But one of the reasons why I'm kind of hesitant is because of that, because I do push back and we will legally challenge it, but to what expense? Like right now, we're having to come up with 15,000 for Juice, 15,000 for Alec, and then when I go out there, now we're gonna have to come up with another 15,000. Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. We might want to take into consideration the reality of a corrupted county. They're intentionally violating people's rights. I almost want to go out there just to challenge them, though. I do. There's just a piece of me that really wants to go out there and challenge the status quo because this is corrupted. And I double dog dare them, me getting out in front of their house to do a news report and somebody stopping me and telling me I can't walk, I can't be in the road, I can't do my news clip there. I'd love for somebody to say that. Me being there for the first time and then telling me I can't do it. I would love to see them do that. I would love to see them do that. I would almost dare them to do that. And the minute that they do that, I'm taking a picture of him, I'm recording the conversation, and I'm filing a complaint. And I'm going to go see a civil rights because he just deprived me of my civil rights and my constitutional rights. Even whether I get a ticket or not. Whether I get a ticket or not. But again, like Lisa B says, that all still costs money. That all still costs money. Nanos is a tyrant. Yeah, but he is a tyrant. And so are the supervisors because they allowed this tyrant to stay there. They knew that the DA is not picking up the perjury. They knew it. This was all a corrupted, it was all messed up. I knew as soon as I saw the doctor going on saying he was willing, that he actually liked the other sheriff that was a Republican. I remember saying, ooh, the Democrat Party ain't going to like that. Ooh, doggy, you can't be normal in politics anymore on the Democrat side. You either have to be scorched earth, anti, want to, a Republican, or you ain't down. Like it's a freaking, they call it, like, I don't even know what it is. Like, I see things so differently. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, but I just feel like that's the hierarchy. And I feel like some people are starting to see that as well. And they're starting to question, some of this things. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to be disrespectful. I love people. I just want people to be normal again. That's what I want. I want people to be normal again. Allegedly, an attorney took the case free. Yeah, I hope so. Tracy, I hope so. Let's pray for that. Let's pray for that. Let's pray for that. I hope they did. I hope they did. Because that attorney's going to do a contingency fee and it's going to go out. I hope they did. I hope, because I got to tell you, that it'd be stupid for them um, not to take the case on a contingency fee, especially the 1983 stuff. Even with again, we got to see how this works out. But I have a funny feeling the courts are going to try to back this up like they didn't, because we're dealing with Sumner County 2.0. So we have to think the whole entire county is corrupted. So that means their judges are corrupted, their DAs corrupted, their sheriffs corrupted, and of course their board of supervisors are corrupted. We've seen the board of supervisors, they came out and showed us how corrupted they were, because they talked a big game, and when push come to shove, when the rubber meet the road, they shit on everybody out there. So we know that they're corrupted. So if we've already got the supervisors corrupted, the sheriff corrupted, what are the chances that the DA and the judges are corrupted? So they're going to most likely push this through to preliminary. And they're going to have a corrupted judge, because they're the ones that have to oversee that. The preliminaries, they're not saw by a jury. They're saw by one person, a judge. And they're like, oh, well, we think there's probable cause. Yep. Right? And pushes you right through there so you don't have your civil rights violations or civil rights actions. So then it goes to the grand jury. Now, usually grand juries indict a ham sandwich. Why didn't they indict me? I think because my case was so freaking laughable that nobody could muster saying that I was guilty of hashtags. Okay. That's what it came down to. So I think I think mine was so ridiculous, and I feel like theirs is ridiculous too. They were sitting in chairs on the side of the road, not doing anything, just being there and talking to their camera, hardly harassing neighbors, hardly being a nuisance. I mean, a nuisance. What is a nuisance? What aspect of their being there? I mean, you're literally saying a human being sitting on a chair is a nuisance. How are you applying that equally across the board and across Pima County? I mean, these are legitimate questions. These are legitimate questions, and these are questions that the state attorney is going to have to answer. So I think people that have legal education understand that how much of this is horseshit, and the rest of you guys are just in ignorant bliss because you don't have an idea of the law. And I would suggest, with all of this AI stuff, now you can't trust it. I will tell you guys this: you cannot trust AI with case law. So don't start doing legal research through AI. I don't know why. I've tried using AI. I've done my own case law, and then just to run the systems and test AI with legal research. And I got to tell you, there's been times when AI has just created law, like created cases that it didn't even exist. It's crazy. And so you can't use that for case law. If you don't know how to research case law, just keep it to the facts. Don't incorporate all that stuff in there, okay? But whatever you do not use AI unless you're specifically purchasing an AI program that has legal research in it. Then that might be okay. But I don't think there's anything like that on the market to layman people without being an attorney. So I'm just cautioning you. I use several different apps for research, but there's only really one place I go for my legal research. And unfortunately, it's not AI. It's not easy. It takes a lot of reading and a lot of research. You got to plug in, see what cases pull out, go through those cases, see if those cases match, any elements that you're dealing with. And I haven't found a good AI for true legal research just yet. I'm hoping we find something, but they do give you enough words that you can, like, if you're confused about what laws they could be violating, that's where AI comes in, where they can say, well, you tell them the story and they say, oh, this could be this, and this. And then at least that's your overview, right? Then that's where your legal research starts. And then you start going and researching those things. What do those things mean? How are those things violated? Then you just start going down the rabbit hole of finding out what the true facts are. So I just want to tell you that you can get a lot of good overview, but ignorance is a choice in 2026. Even people that don't know how to read and write, ignorance is a choice in 2026. Because when you can just pick up a phone and speak into a machine and it speak back to you, then you're choosing to willfully be ignorant. There's no excuse. Everybody has a phone. Everybody has the ability to download ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini. Good gracious, I don't know. Perplexity. Oh, I said Perplexity. Claude. What other ones are there? What other ones do I use? I can't remember all the AI. There's a lot of different AI apps I use, and they all do a little bit different things to them. So in my opinion, if you're only using one AI, you're doing yourself a disservice because AI does each AI does different things. They're trained differently. So for example, Chat GPT. I love Chat GPT for thumbnails. Like if I can describe a thumbnail and add a couple pictures, it now that I understand how to do the thumbnails on there, I can produce a really rock solid art piece on Chat GPT. But if I really wanted heavy research, I'm not trusting Chat GPT with that. I'm trusting maybe Perplexity or Claude with that. Um, and then, like, I love Perplexity because I can set up things on there. There's just a lot. There's a lot of different AIs, and every AI does a little bit different. I like Gemini, Google Gemini. That's a great research tool because it's Google Gemini, and Google's been well established for a really, really, really long time. Um, I think 857 or Juice will go back out there. Any civil rights lawyer has a slam dunk on this case like this. We would hope. We would hope. I'd like to, before they go out there, I would like them having an attorney. To be honest with you, I would even me, like even me telling you, they if we don't go back out there, they're thinking that they have a right to violate people's rights without going back out there and pushing back on this unlawful practice. Then I feel like you're going to lose ground game. But in the same sense, I think that you need to have an attorney advise you and advise you what to say specifically to those sheriffs, so those things are starting to record, so you can start getting a paper trail for the case moving forward. An attorney will be able to tell you exactly what they need from you while you're out there and whether you can go out there. But I'm pretty confident that they're going to that they're going to be able to support them being out there. They should protest at the plaza in the city. They should protest that neighborhood. Okay. I'm not one of these people that leave the neighbor. If I'm getting harassed inside of a neighborhood, I'm not going across town to protest it. If I'm being harassed in that neighborhood, I'm protesting that neighborhood. If I'm being harassed by the sheriffs, I'm protesting the sheriff. I'm taking the protest wherever the problem is. So she walked out with her fake smile, and she will swallow her heart seeing protesters holding signs. That's the thing, she wanted to be nasty to the protest or to the streamers. Well, wait until the protesters start showing up. This would be so worth it if they can just clear the area so they can arrest the neighbor. That is a fantasy. I can't believe that Sue Ellen basically admitted to smearing poop all over those rocks. And then she tried to backtrack it when Alex is like, don't you think that was a little extreme? It's kind of disgusting, don't you think? Oh, well, those are the javelinas. Listen, they've been out there for months. Okay. They've never had nothing like that happen to them with the javelinas. We've seen the javelinas right and center. We saw the javelinas destroy Nancy's memorial to eat the flowers. But you know what? One thing I didn't see is a javelina walking on rocks and pooping on every single rock. Okay. I haven't seen that in the history of javelinas. Okay. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe I need to go get the encyclopedia and see if javelinas have a habit of squatting on rocks and pooping all over them. I mean, I just don't know. I think it's kind of twisted, and I think that shows you how messed up that lady is mentally. Normal people don't act like that. You know who did that kind of shit? You know who did that kind of shit? BJ. So it makes you wonder, are the hate channels really reaching out to these people and instigating under the scene? Because I tell you what, I'll drag, if I can put one piece of evidence back on Queen Bee, I will drag her ass back to court again. I have no problem doing it. If I can get one thing that she's done that rises to a civil action that I can bring against her, by God, I'm dragging her ass back to court. Just one more thing. I'm waiting. Every single time I wait. So if you guys are still, going in there and here and there and everything, and you guys hear something that's illegal, like are talking shit about, like saying factual stuff that ain't factual, let me know about that. That's defamation. I'll drag her ass back to her freaking court. I have no problem doing it. Hey, Sonia. Sonia gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. Thank you. We got Miss Paula, Amy, Tracy, Rude. It's nice to see you. Or Rudd. Mary Lynn. Hello. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. I eat insane. It's love. Melanie, thank you. Gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership because I'm a love machine. Ow! And Miss Cinderella got it. So welcome back to the fam, Cinderella. It's nice to see you, love bug. I hope you're doing well. Don't forget, everybody in green, every single month, you got, NAACP. I got, you know what? I'm friends with the president here in Manatee County, or at least I shouldn't say friends, but know her. I know her. I know the president here in Manatee County, and I believe they have I bet you, I could probably speak to, but they have to have one in Tucson too. You're right, Siri. You're right. I think you might be right, because I think that the NAACP would help juice. But you know what? I haven't seen a whole lot. Like we have, like the president or a representative of the NAACP makes debuts at least several times a month at our county meetings at Manatee County. And one thing I can tell you that I did not see in Pima County, especially with the conversations of having no confidence in Sheriff Nanos. I never saw anybody from the NAACP in the rooms there in Pima County. So maybe one of the steps might be getting them involved or sending a representative to address the board of supervisors about this problem. How to run. Good luck. I have to run. Okay, Grace, take care. Have a great day. Bless you. Weirdness, yes. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, we hear. Oh, good. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, LJ. I hope you're doing well. Good morning. Thanks for being here, girl. Wow, this is nuts. This is nuts. I'm so sick of law enforcement thinking they have a right to do whatever the hell they want to do. No, they don't. And if they keep doing this kind of crap all over the country, we, the people, are going to make laws and rules to start limiting what kind of abilities they have. You got to remember, in America, we give broad authority to sheriffs, more authority to sheriffs than any other voted body, elected official. We give them the ability to go on people's property, throw people in jail. We give them a lot of authority. We don't like them to abuse that authority. And when they start doing like this to try to trample on First Amendment or keep people from talking about a case, that's a clear violation. And we all know that the no parking ordinance even Brian Enton says they're trying to push us out. They're putting a no parking ordinance in to make it more difficult for us to run this case. They did it intentionally just to move the media on. And it was only a no parking ordinance, not a no sitting ordinance, not a no, you can't run your cameras. Like you're going way over the authority or what that was even established for. So there is some definite issues with this case, and I hope that they get good representation. I hope that there is an attorney out there doing this pro bono. If there's somebody in Pima County, if you're fucking tired of this shit, You need to step up to the plate and help these guys out, whether you like it or not. We have to protect the umbrella. Okay? At the end of the day, we in the legal field have to protect the freaking umbrella. Because once we give our rights away, we can never give them back. You know that as well as I do. So we cannot move on this front. These are constitutional rights. These are civil rights. Did they have a right to be there? The answer is yes. Whether the community likes them being there or not. Were they on public roadway? Were they encroaching on public property? The answer is no. Were they obstructing law enforcement activities? No. So what purpose do you have to remove them? They don't live there. They're not staying the night there. They're following the rules that you set out, and you're still fucking harassing them. It's frustrating. It's frustrating as all get out. And then when I turn around, I see that the media out there is cheering it on because that's their competition. All of a sudden, they no longer care about civil rights or First Amendment constitutional rights. I got to teach these young ones, 7 years old. Well, you do them best. They did nothing. I want this county sued many times over. Well, if they don't have an attorney, we need to get them attorneys. So KVO was on the road shortly after they were arrested. So corrupted. Oh yeah. Oh, so somebody needs to send me that because that needs to go to Juice as well as Alex for their attorneys. Are we in North Korea? Sure feels like it, doesn't it? We definitely have a tyrant and we definitely have a king. Okay. I thought we were all about no kings, right? Well, how is this king here allowed to arrest people for being law abiding citizens? Okay. Let's do the no kings. Okay. No kings, Chris Nanos. No kings, Chris Nanos. No kings, Chris Nanos. No kings, Chris Nanos. I'm just saying, there's no kings, but it sure sounds like there's a tyrant for yourself. Oh, thank you guys. No kings. Juice cried. Aw. Well, he's probably a good dude, and he's probably doing everything he thinks is right. And this person, it's just awful. I feel bad for Juice. He's just trying to do what's right. They did him wrong because they think he doesn't have money. They took the people that they believe have the least amount of money, and that's who they arrested. We're going to see him still keep screaming, no kings, Chris Nanos, no kings, Chris Nanos. Where's our no kings protest? Where's our no kings protest? I puked all night. I love them. I was worried. Aw. They did Juice dirty. They did. And I think it's because he's black. I think it's a racist community. I think again, every time we turn around, I keep saying, is Sumner County 2.0, Sumner County. It's because law enforcement can't handle being told no, or they can't do that. They're like, oh, we're going to find a way, And it's like, you can't do that. I mean, obviously you did, right? You went and put handcuffs on people, even though it was a violation of their rights. This asshole here, that he's a criminal. If this man's a criminal, how does he even know the fucking law? I'm just asking a few questions. Nobody was doing drugs. Well, to me, they don't look. They look like they've had a walk, but they don't look like they're on that walk. I've had a walk. I'm not on that walk. You called it on day one. I did. I'm telling you, I've got a sixth sense for this stuff. I knew it. I said, this is Sumner County 2.0. This is a corrupt community. I said that this was all going to happen. I even brought up the fact you never allow freaking your county commissioners to enact ordinances that have criminal penalties. Like, we went over all of this at the beginning of the case. And let me tell you, we hit this out of the park as far as the behavior of this county. It's time for us to really get pissed. It is. It's time. At the end of the day, this happens more times than you know. It's just that it's being forced to happen in the public light because I think there's a piece of law enforcement that thinks that they can, because they've been able for years and years and years to control our legacy media. Come on, Delilah, quit moving around. They were able to control, like our media was social media back in the 80s and 90s, right? The 70s, 80s, and 90s. They just came up with the cameras, they tracked the sheriffs and the people down. They would all run toward them to stick their cameras and their microphones in their face. That used to be the legacy media. But then they started getting trained by the corrupted politicians that if you don't do that, we'll give you access to us. All you have to do is calm down, right? And then that turned into, now we have a corrupted media that bows down to our government instead of telling us the stuff we are entitled to know. They lie to us on behalf of our government. So what happened? We got social media. Many people went out there and said, hey, we're sick of being lied to by our legacy media. So now we're out there being what media used to be like. And now they have no control like they do on mainstream media. And they try to sit there and throw us in jail for our rights because we will not bow down. We will not back down. We are sick and tired of corrupt media in this country, and we want to hear it firsthand. Not only that, we're sick of 5-minute segments. We're past that in 2026. We want cameras rolling 24/7 on the area. We want to be part of the action. And that, as an American citizen, we're entitled to have. We're entitled. Alex absolutely did drugs, and I don't know. I don't know. And to be honest with you, dirty boy, how do you know? How do you know? Like, no. The only way you would know is if you were out there. The only way I would know, like, no, is if I was out there. You're assuming. Be careful with that. I assume a lot of things. I'm not criticizing. A little bit I am, but I assume a lot of things, but I say I assume them. I don't state them as fact. I did not watch. I don't watch a lot of that stuff out there because I'm, on different cases. I do come around and circle back to Nancy Guthrie's case, but we've been doing a lot of Lynette Hooker, where there's been a lot more information coming out on Lynette Hooker's case. So this case has kind of taken the back seat. So I haven't been watching everything. So I don't know what happened out there. At Dirty Boy, was you there? Yeah, that's the question. The only way you would really know is if you were there. Alex would not be out there all loud if that's what I'm thinking. There are some stupid people, but he doesn't, spark me as, stupid. He just doesn't. He seems very, very well put together upstairs. Alex juiced, smoked marijuana, which is legal in Arizona. Okay, so let's just find so Dirty Boy, you're calling it drugs, and you're implying it's illicit drugs because that's what I took it as. So let's find out. Let's just find out definitively. Again, ignorance is bliss, right? People that want to be ignorant choose to be ignorant. I don't choose to be ignorant. Let's find out. Is it legal to smoke marijuana in Arizona? Yes. Marijuana is legal in Arizona for both medical and adult recreational use. So they did not violate any laws. I just want to make sure that's clear. So I don't know if that's what they did, if that's what you're referring to, weed as a drug. Come on. I truly believe that anything that affects your mind is a drug. So I'm not going to laugh about it. Yeah, I count alcohol as a drug, and I count marijuana as a drug. So I do believe that those are drugs. Okay, they alter your mind. They alter the way you would behave. You would behave one way if you weren't completely smoked out. You would behave one way if you weren't completely fallen down drunk, right? So anything that alters your mind, I consider a drug. And we have a lot of pharmaceutical drugs that are on the market that alter your mind, and they're perfectly healthy, and doctors prescribe them all the time. So yes, I do believe it is a drug, but it's not an illegal drug. And there's a difference. Just like alcohol is not an illegal drug, but I do believe to me, it's a drug. Dirty Boy said he admitted it. Well, it sounds. Are you referring? Okay, let me ask you this, Dirty Boy. Are you referring to marijuana use? Because if you're referring to marijuana use, it sounds like they're allowed to use it. So it's not unlawful. So while, yes, they were using it, but they were still acting within their rights within the law. So they didn't break the law. That's where I'm getting at. I don't agree with people being out there, pining. That's just me. To each their own. I'm not assuming BHP. Okay. Well, maybe I'm not down far enough. Hold on. But to argue, okay, well, if he admitted it, if we're talking about, Mary Jane, well then, um, even if he admitted it, it's not illegal. So Arizona has different laws. In Florida, that kind of use would have been unlawful. In Arizona, that use is not legal, or it's not legal to do it in public. Let's see here. Search, yes. Let's go to AI mode. Is it legal or illegal to smoke on a public roadway? Okay. You're right. Okay, so although marijuana is legal in Arizona, it says it's illegal to smoke marijuana on a public roadway in Arizona. Public roadways, sidewalks, and streets are classified as. Listen to this. This just proved my point. Ready for this, guys? Sit down, everybody. This is going to take your breath away. Public roadways, sidewalks, and streets are classified as what? Public spaces. That kind of kills their argument of why they got arrested, right? Wow. So it's public spaces when you're smoking, but it's a violation of law when you're recording. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Got it. So smoking or vaping cannabis in these areas is a petty offense that carries a fine up to $500. So it's a petty offense. Nothing major. Additionally, smoking inside vehicles on public roadway exposes you to immediate DUI charges. If you're planning a trip, would like to know the laws regarding transporting cannabis in vehicles safely, or do you need information for designated consumption lounges in Arizona? I need neither. Thank you. I do not consume the M. I do not consume the M. Alex didn't get arrested for smoking. Okay. No, he would have gotten a ticket. BHB, you can't do it in public. Okay, well, we just read it. You're right about that. It says that it's a public space, but it's a petty crime, and you can only get a fine. It's not an arrestable offense. Pot is allowed in public in Arizona, but not in closed areas or workspaces. Is cannabis smoking allowed in any place outside? Find out. Yes, cannabis smoking is allowed outside, but strictly on private property with the owner's permission. So, no, I don't think that's right. And this is Arizona's Proposition 207 explicitly bans cannabis consumption in public spaces or open spaces. Therefore, the only outdoor area where you could legally smoke are those that are privately owned. So, they were on public. Even with a petty crime, okay, he can get a fine, okay, he can get a ticket like he ran a stop sign type of ticket, a petty offense like running a stop sign for out there. I don't think Dirty Boy. I don't think it rises to the level of an arrest, and I think that that's so petty. And even if he did do it, it is a legal consumed thing. He was just not doing it the legal way. He was doing it in a public space, which again, they have to apply. Now, are we sure that they've arrested everybody or ticketed everybody that's been smoking out in public spaces? See, that's where it comes down to the 14th Amendment, because if they usually let people pass and just don't say anything to anybody, like I was in where was I? Portland, Washington. Holy crap. We get off the freaking plane. You take you think you're going to get some mountain air. You take a big whiff and you're getting high. You know, like there's so much marijuana in their air that it literally, you can smell it at the airport. Um, you know, that kind of stuff is a little crazy, but obviously people are smoking it outside in Washington. So I know it's a different state and stuff like that, but I don't know what their ordinances are in Washington state, whether they can consume that outside. And if they aren't allowed, and they're the law enforcement is not messing with 90% of the people that are doing it, but they are messing with these people, well, that's a 14th Amendment argument. And even though it's unlawful, and they fined him for, let's just, I mean, hypothetically, they fined him for smoking out in the public. If they didn't apply that equally to everybody, you still have a 14th Amendment argument to have it tossed. There are people bent over on fent everywhere in Tucson. It's ignored, and they're doing in there. Oh yeah, that's a good point, Arizona. So we got people that are just, that have, you guys have seen those zombie areas where, some YouTubers go in there and at night and just show you how all people are, just leaned over and just out of their mind, just blitzed. I have never, ever seen Jews smoke out there. Sue Ellen just don't want them out there. Well, apparently Dirty Boy says that Alex admitted it. He didn't say anything about Juice. I don't know if there's anything about, I don't know their history. So I don't know. Daytime too, Betty. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. That's crazy. Thanks for explaining it. I had to take a while. What does it say? I had to take it a while pregnant because I couldn't take my seizure meds. Yeah, I heard that it's good for, that's what they've been giving Parkinson patients. My one of my old bosses that worked for Remax, he was a very, very Christian guy, like straight arrow, like completely a square. I mean, just straight as straight can get, right? Doesn't do anything, like doesn't drink, just you know, uh, whatever, right? And his whole family is like that. And his grandmother has Parkinson's. What was it, grandfather? I think it's his grandmother, because I remember him telling a story. So anyways, his grandmother has Parkinson's and was shaking, had real bad trembles, and the doctor prescribed marijuana. And they're just, this big Christian family. They're sitting back, oh, the M word, And so he was telling me this time, he's like, believe it or not, no, you know what? It wasn't for the grandmother. It was for his father. It was his dad. That's right. Because his mom, his grandmother tried it because she was having trembles too, and she stopped anyways. They had a pretty much this whole entire event. Now, mind you, these are Christian straight arrow people. Okay, think of the most straight people you know in your life, whether your grandmother, your mama, your auntie, your uncle, or maybe the person down the road. The straightest person you know, that was this family. And so they probably have never done, substances in their entire life, the whole family. And the doctor's trying to convince them that, taking this marijuana supplement's going to help with this. And they're kind of like, they had, in all fairness, they did try just about everything on the market, and nothing was really working. So his father tried it, went ahead and bit the bullet and decided to try this medical marijuana that was now available in Florida. His trembles stopped. But there was a story he told me, and I still can't believe it to this day. Apparently, they decided to let the grandma try to see if it would help hers. So he walks in, and half of his family's stoned. And now, mind you, they're a Christian family. I don't know how they reconciled with that. I don't remember any more of the story than that. That happened like 15 years ago. And I still, it still crosses my mind every now and again, because these are grandmas and grandpas and great grandmas. And, this is he was about my age, and this again, 15 years ago. So we were even younger, and walking in and seeing that was a little shocking for him. Mom was against it, but once she saw I no longer had seizures, she was all for it. Yeah, yeah. But I remember that it wasn't the grandma, it was the father. The father had Parkinson's, and his hands, would just tremble like this. I mean, he would be fine, but he would walk. His legs were fine, but you could just see his hands trembling. And they were trying to find out what they could do about the trembling, and nothing was working. Nothing was working, and lo and behold, they did find something that worked. So, it is what it is. What can we do to help? Guys, we have form letters. We need to get emails out. We need to call state attorneys. We need to call the ACLU, which I don't anticipate will happen. I mean, the person's a Democrat, not Donald J. Trump, so I don't anticipate the ACLU being of any help whatsoever. But somebody did say the NAACP, which I believe he might have some help with. I think they would at least start going to some board of supervisor meetings and speaking up on the corruption in the county by the sheriff, especially since corruption predominantly affects more so disadvantaged communities than anybody else. Okay, whatever that community is, mostly disadvantaged are the ones that are the most susceptible to the corruption and the consequences of corruption in their county, as opposed to wealthier people, period. And this is a situation where I believe we have two tiers here. We have Juice, and we have Alex, and then we have Tucson, which Tucson appears probably has but I don't know. I'm just assuming. I've never met these people before, but I'm going about based upon my assumptions of this sheriff's department, and I believe that maybe he's more higher up the food chain than, say, Juice or Alex. And so they're trying to get the bottom feeders to stop the top feeders, or something like that. I don't know what goes on in these corrupt sheriffs, but I just know that this sheriff's a criminal. He should be in jail. He should definitely not be running a sheriff's department, and their supervisors should have had the balls to get this man or move this man out like they said they were going to do, instead of poo-pooing on their citizens. But they poo-pooed on their citizens, so now you know who they are. Now you see them for who they are. Now you know their integrity, and now you can make a very informed decision at that ballot box in November. And my position is fire them all. Fire the whole fucking county. Okay? When you have this much corruption and nobody willing to do anything about it in the whole damn county, it's county-wide. That's your telltale sign that everybody's got to go. I don't care how much friends you are. It's not about being friends. You can be friends after they're out of office. But right now, these people have to go. The whole damn county is corrupted. Okay? The whole damn county. Even the supervisors, those sweet little supervisors that are there to help you. No, they're not. They're taking all of your money and giving you squat. So please do yourself a favor. Vote differently. Okay? Vote differently. You guys have a front row view of how corrupted your community is. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I say fight, fight, fight. Fight, fight, fight. And we have to fund some legal expenses. So let's start making strategy to help these people out. Let's start. We said that if they keep violating people's civil rights, we're just going to dance. Now it's time to dance. And we're all in this dance together. So we were all in this dance when it happened to me. We're all in this dance when it happens to them. We're going to continue to fight for our right, for social media's right to be here. We're not going to ask for permission, and we're not going to apologize. I don't pay for criminal charges. I don't pay for criminal. What does that mean? Glitter. What does that mean? You don't pay for criminal charges. You don't pay when people have violated. You don't help people that have had their rights violated. Then why are you here? This is an advocacy channel. We advocate for people of crime. We advocate against corruption of the county. If that's not what you're here for, why are you here? Just a thought. Just a thought. You don't need to be here if this is not something you support. I mean, if you're okay with people having their rights, then when you have your rights ran over you, don't be coming here asking for help. You're not willing to help anybody else. Don't come here asking for help for you. I don't fund criminal activity. Okay, well, we're going to get you out of here. Have a great day. You don't belong here. Go find some hate channel to be on. Have a great day. Well, I ain't that interested in sitting in jail. I bonded out. She thinks he pew-pewed the meeting. Glitter's gone. Glitter's gone. Okay, guys. I think it's the same one troll. We had the person, and then they came back, and then we had the other person. Now they had to wait for the few minutes, and then they came back. So I think it's just one troll we have here with a couple different counts. I love Betty. She's ruthless. I just don't take any shit. I'm done with it. Like I'm too old for this bullshit anymore, right? I want people, if I have to follow the law, I want everybody else to follow the law. And if you ain't following the law, I'm definitely going to point it out. And this piece of crap, hot mess express sheriff, he's violated so many people's laws. He needs to be buried under the jail. He doesn't even need to retire. He needs to be buried under the jail. I was saying that hyperbole. I don't want anybody saying, "Oh my God, she threatened the sheriff." If I threaten the sheriff knows I'm threatening him. And I'll tell you, I am threatening him lawfully and legally. I'm threatening him that we are going to stand up and fight back. That's what I'm threatening him with. And if that's a threat, by God, I stand behind it. So there's that. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Support these people, okay? They've been out there doing this stuff that nobody else is willing to do. We support people's rights to work. We support them to act within the law. Remember, there was a no parking ordinance. They weren't parking. They were being harassed by law enforcement because they were following the rules law enforcement gave them. And law enforcement kept moving the pole. Like, oh, well, you're still not leaving. So let's make sure you can't sit here. Or let's make sure you can't do this here. Let's make sure, because it wasn't really about the cars. It was really about you and your speech and you being here and you acting like a journalist and you doing journalistic activity. It was never about the parking because nobody was parking. Remember, it's a no parking ordinance. No parking ordinance. It says no parking on it. No parking. Where were the fucking cars? I'd love to see what they're doing and how they're going to handle this. I'd love to see it. But you guys need to be picking up the phones. If you want to help, we got 437 people in here. Pick up the phone when the office opens. Start calling the sheriff's office. Start filing reports. Start being the boil on the ass end of the sheriff if you guys want things to change. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But you know what? We still keep pushing. The government does not have a right to do that. That is a violation of the Constitution, period. That is a violation of the Constitution. They wanted to push the media out. When the media chose not to leave, they started arresting them. There's nothing more unconstitutional than that. So you can try to put lipstick on a pig all day long. They still violated these people's rights, and I hope they're sued out the ass.